Part 70. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 691. Chapter 691. The male protagonist is super handsome. Qianyins is 20 years old this year, but he has graduated from college early. It seems that he is still a top student. Qianyin's Weibo has already accumulated 2 million fans in less than 24 hours after it was opened, and it has been growing at a terrifying trend. Most people became fans of him because they saw his handsome and refined face. The prosperous and beautiful Qianyins quickly became a hot search list on Weibo, and countless netizens left messages and licked the screen. As long as a person is popular, there will definitely be black fans, and the main force of Qianyin's black fans are Jun Chennai's chocolates. Jun Chennai's fans expressed that they could not accept this so-called Qianyins. In their hearts, Jun Chennai was the only male protagonist. Although the photos released by the official website are indeed of great beauty, in the era when beauty photos are popular, who knows if Qianyin's so-called beauty is not from photoshopped photos, will he die in public? With the commotion on the internet, Xia Ying didn't have much time to pay attention to this matter, but as far as she knew, Ye Xiaoxun seemed to have become Qianyin's fan. As Ye Xiaoxun said herself, she had escaped Qianya and Jun Chennai. She never thought that she would fall into the hands of this newcomer. Although I think Jun Chennai is indeed suitable for the role of Feng Zhuili, this little brother's beauty is really invincible. Doesn't it feel like Feng Zhuili is particularly beautiful without being evil? Ye Xiaoxun excitedly hugged his mobile phone. Said to Xia Ying. And there is a classic scene in the novel where the heroine recognizes the hero as a little sister when she meets him for the first time, which shows how stunning the hero is. Xia Ying smiled lightly and said, "The director informed me that there will be auditions on the weekend. If you have time, you can come over and have a look." Ye Xiaoxun became excited when he heard this. Of course there is time, there must be time. At this moment, Xia Ying's cell phone rang. It was Yu Lingfeng's call. "Do you have time on weekends?" Xia Ying frowned. It was such a coincidence that everything happened on the weekend. "Movie audition, I'm afraid I don't have time." Xia Ying's tone showed embarrassment. "When?" "Saturday morning." "Okay, I'll stay with you and leave Sunday time to me." "Good." On Saturday, as soon as Xia Ying and Ye Xiaoxun went out, they saw Yu Lingfeng standing straight downstairs in the dormitory. 11 Jews stood beside Yu Lingfeng. After seeing Xia Ying, 11 Jews' eyes suddenly lit up. He pointed at Xia Ying and said to Yu Lingfeng, "Master, Xia Ying is out." Yu Lingfeng did not answer. He had already seen Xia Ying, so he was not surprised. When Ye Xiaoxun saw Yu Lingfeng, he tugged on Xia Ying's arm and said angrily, "Xia Ying, why didn't you tell me that Yu Lingfeng was coming too?" Then she becomes a light bulb, and with 11 Ju, an enduring light bulb, Ye Xiaoxun's appearance becomes even more redundant. "You didn't even ask." Xia Ying smiled lightly, pushed Ye Xiaoxun's arm, and said, "It's not like you don't know Yu Lingfeng, it's okay." Ye Xiaoxun stuck out his tongue silently and did not answer. He just looked at Yu Lingfeng with some avoidance. "Sakura, Sakura, I was watching the news a few days ago, and the leading actor was super handsome." 11 Ju looked quite excited, his eyes shining brightly. Yu Lingfeng on the side raised his eyebrows. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuen Suya. Chapter 692. Chapter 692, compared with the Master, he is just an ordinary person. Yes, you also think Qianyins is handsome, don't you? Yes, he is super handsome. How can there be such a perfect-looking human being? That's it, so you're also going to see Qianyins, right? Yeah. So, Ye Xiaoxun and 11 Ju discussed Qianyins for most of the way. Yu Lingfeng was confused and couldn't listen anymore, so he turned around and asked Xia Ying, "Who is Qianyins?" Well, a newcomer, he is the male protagonist. Although Yu Lingfeng didn't say much, the expression on his face became increasingly serious, and Xia Ying could see it. Is he handsome? Xia Ying did not expect that Yu Lingfeng would ask this question. Her eyes widened when she was asked, and she stared at Yu Lingfeng for a long time before hesitatingly said, "Huh. Are Yu Lingfeng people who care about appearance?" Ziyu heard the coldness in Yu Lingfeng's words, so he had a strong desire to survive and stopped talking in time, and did not continue the discussion. How could he forget that this Jianyins is the one who is going to play the emotional scene with Xia Ying? Xia Ying has been away from the screen for so long, and her first scene is with him. 11 Ju also suddenly understood the reason why Yu Lingfeng wanted to follow him there, so that he could spy on the enemy. He is handsome, but compared to you, master, he is definitely an ordinary man. 11 Ju hurriedly went over to flatter him, while Xia Ying nodded in agreement. Yu Lingfeng did not speak, but turned to look out the car window. After arriving at their destination, Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng got out of the car and were guided by the staff to the audition area. The director and others are still in a meeting, so the staff arranged for Xia Ying and others to go to the waiting room. It's just that the staff just opened the door. A bright glass flew towards everyone. Yu Lingfeng, with quick eyes and quick hands, immediately stood in front of Xia Ying, then reached out and caught the glass smoothly. The staff was so frightened that they broke out in cold sweats, but fortunately, no accident occurred. Xia Ying calmed down, then turned to Yu Lingfeng and asked, "Are you okay?" Yu Lingfeng handed the cup to the staff on the side and shook his head calmly. "Fine." Everyone looked up and saw that the silver-haired boy in front was scolding the men in front of them in Japanese, and from time to time he would grab things in his hands and throw them at them. The men in suits and ties lowered their heads, said nothing, clenched their hands into fists, and allowed themselves to be scolded by the young man. Idiot dash. After Jianyan said this curse word, he inadvertently raised his eyes and saw everyone. The ferocious expression on Jianyan's face gradually faded away. He glanced around at everyone and half squinted his indifferent eyes. "Why do these strange people come into my exclusive room?" Jianyans then asked the men in front of him coldly in Japanese. Hearing the sound, the men turned and looked at Xia Ying and the others. Only then did Xia Ying realize that their faces were already sweaty due to nervousness. The men immediately became serious and angrily yelled at the staff beside Xia Ying in broken Chinese, "This is our exclusive room, Master Qian. How did these people get in? Get out quickly." The staff looked embarrassed. When did it become their exclusive room for young Master Qian? This Jianyans is not popular yet, and he starts to act like a big name? Do you want to be so 6? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 693. Chapter 693, Son of Light. No, Master Qian, this is Xia Ying, the heroine who plays with you. The staff member had beads of sweat on his head and explained to Jianyins, trying to get him to restrain his anger. Xia Ying. Jianyins narrowed his beautiful peach blossom eyes and looked at Xia Ying with wavering eyes. Jianyin's eyes glanced at the goo insect bracelet on Xia Ying's hand, and then he turned pale with fright, and his face turned pale with fright. He turned around and trotted to get a golden sword from nowhere. He put on a dual stance and locked his gaze on Xia Ying. "Draw your sword, messenger of darkness. I, the son of light, will not compromise with you." Xia Ying. Everyone. After the air froze for 2 seconds, Xia Ying approached the staff and said awkwardly, "What, Jianyin's brain?" Xia Ying frowned, and then said, "Is it okay? What kind of shameful line is this? Is he an actor or something?" Even if he is deeply involved in the drama, there is no way he can compare with the second-rate lines in a large-scale passionate female protagonist drama like The Great Doctor. Cough 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 cough, the staff member's face turned green, he covered his mouth and whispered to Xia Ying, well, Qianyin's second disease is a bit serious, it'll be fine if you get used to it. When Qianyin's first arrived, he made a scene here. Everyone checked to make sure they were not the dark messengers from before he came in quietly. However, they thought that it would be fine if Qianyin's had made trouble for a while, but they did not expect that Xia Ying and the others were here and he would continue to cause trouble. After hearing this, Xia Ying's eyes widened and she stared at Qianyin's in disbelief. Isn't this guy a foreigner? Let's not talk about what happened to his fluent Japanese just now, but now he is inexplicably saying that he has a Chuyunibu. By the way, he is already 20 years old and still in the second grade, shouldn't he? And looking like that, he is extremely ill and there is no cure. Yeziaksun and 11 Ju, two pretty boys, haven't recovered yet. What the hell, why is this different from what they thought at first? Qianyin's shouldn't be that kind of gentle boy, no matter how bad he is still a normal person. Bar. What kind of special configuration is this? Don't think that I can't recognize you just because you are disguised as a human being. How can you fool the piercing eyes of my son of light? While Xia Ying was still wondering, Qianyin's had already walked up to her with a sword. Qianyin's looked at Xia Ying from top to bottom, his eyes lingering on Xia Ying's wrist for a long time. Take medicine when you are sick, why should a young man abandon treatment? Xia Ying sighed helplessly. Don't tell me these nonsense. As a child of light, maintaining world peace is an important responsibility that I cannot shirk. You messengers of darkness who want to rule the human world should stop as soon as possible. Before Qianyin's finished speaking, he was suddenly slapped down by Yu Lingfeng. Xia Ying looked straight at Qianyin's and fell straight back in front of her, silently taking a breath of cold air. Yu Lingfeng approached Xia Ying and glanced at Qianyin's on the ground. Are you sure that this kind of person will act opposite you? Qianyin's staff hurriedly stepped forward to help him up, and then asked Yu Lingfeng tremblingly, how could you do this to Master Qian? He'll wake up soon. Yu Lingfeng glanced at Qianyin's indifferently and said. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 694. Chapter 694, It's been a long time since I left the Sea of Decay. Qianyin's was helped to lie down on the sofa. Yeziaksun and 11 Ju took the opportunity to step forward and quietly observe Qianyin's delicate and beautiful face. Qianyin's skin is delicate, her facial features are natural, her eyelashes are very long, and her sleeping face is so charming that she looks like a still watercolor painting. Sure enough, he looks better when he is quiet. Yeziaksun thought of something else and asked the staff on the side, why did Qianyin's lose his temper with you just now? Has he always been so irritable? Yeziaksun doesn't want to like a celebrity for the first time, and then find that the appearance and the interior are seriously inconsistent. It's just a vase that looks good but has a bad personality. Hearing this, 11 Ju moved over again. He also wanted to know. That is actually our fault. The staff member buried his head very low and spoke in a weak tone. Yeziaksun became curious. We accidentally dropped Master Qian's figurine. A staff member replied, stretching out his index finger and pointing tremblingly at the trash can nearby. Yeziaksun ran over and took a look. Sure enough, there were fragments of figures in the trash can. Although it has been smashed into pieces, it can be seen that it was originally a well-made figure doll. I'm a Chuyunibu, I like figurines, haha, why do I think Qianyin's is so cute? 11 Ju held his face and said dreamily. 11 Ju stared at the broken figure in the trash can for a long time. The more he looked at it, the more something seemed wrong. 11 Ju suddenly remembered, wasn't this the protagonist in one of his favorite comics? Qianyins actually also likes Danmei comics? Zihu suddenly found a soulmate. Although he had been away from the Sea of Rot for many years, he still couldn't help but burst into tears when he saw this familiar character. Ah, youth, youth that cannot be returned. Stop looking. Yu Lingfeng tugged at 11 Ju's sleeve and pulled him over, stopping 11 Ju from missing the days of reading Danmei comics. Having finally been transformed by Xia Ying, Yu Lingfeng didn't want 11 Ju to fall into the trap again. After a while, Qianyins opened his eyes drowsily. The moment Qianyins opened his eyes, it was like a butterfly emerging from its cocoon under the sun and fluttering its gorgeous wings. It was so beautiful that it made people's hearts intoxicated. Qianyins was so frightened by the two big faces in front of him that he shrank back. He immediately became vigilant. He pointed at 11 Ju and Yeziaksun and asked, "What are you doing?" When Qianyins fainted, 11 Ju and Yeziaksun kept staring at him. As they watched, they got closer and closer. Later, the two of them moved a small stool and sat in front of Qianyins, quietly admiring his beautiful face. As soon as Qianyins woke up, he saw these two faces, so he was frightened, and his fragile little heart kept beating chaotically. "Look at you," Yeziaksun said with a smile. Qianyin's face darkened and he looked at Xia Ying and Yu Lingfeng not far away. Qianyin suddenly stood up from the sofa and walked towards Xia Ying. Yu Lingfeng subconsciously stood in front of Xia Ying and met Qianyin's eyes expressionlessly. "What else do you want to do?" Qianyins bypassed Yu Lingfeng and began to declare war seriously. "Although I admire you for your profound skills, as a son of light, I will never give up no matter how difficult and setbacks I encounter. I will conquer one day. Your..." After Qianyins finished speaking, he clenched his fists, as if he was looking forward to death. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 695. Chapter 695. What is the connection between the man and the witch? Xia Ying's little goo insects poked their heads out of the goo insect necklace and looked at Qianyins. Qianyins glanced over unintentionally and happened to meet the little goo insect's gaze. Qianyins was so frightened that he took several steps back. You. Xia Ying noticed Qianyin's gaze, so she reached out to block her goo insect bracelet. "What do you want to say?" Xia Ying asked. "I knew you were also a dark messenger who used dark beasts as a source of power." Qianyin's face was full of shock. Xia Ying rolled her eyes. She wanted to beat this guy up. "Where else have you seen these dark beasts?" Yu Lingfeng suddenly asked. Xia Ying turned her head and looked at Yu Lingfeng beside her. Why, Yu Lingfeng was also causing trouble. "Of course, there are an incredible number of you dark messengers." Qianyins was serious when he said this. Of course, the same was true when he said that Xia Ying was the messenger of darkness. "I heard something different. For example, where have you seen it? Were you also wearing a goo insect bracelet in your hand?" Yu Lingfeng asked next. Qianyins frowned and recalled, "That's not true, she seems to have the dark beast on her body." Yu Lingfeng raised his eyebrows, "Male or female?" Xia Ying finally heard something. This Qianyins might have seen the witch, because the witch also raised goo insects, but currently no one knows what the witch looks like. If Qianyins has seen the witch, if so, it might be able to provide some clues about his appearance. "Female." Qianyins continued, "Don't you dark messengers know each other?" Xia Ying rolled her eyes and said to Qianyins, "For the last time, I am not a messenger of darkness, I am a human being." Humans don't have dark beasts." Qianyins looked at Xia Ying with distant and indifferent eyes, and he kept staring at Xia Ying when he said this. "They are good," Xia Ying said helplessly. "Liar, I've seen them harm humans with my own eyes." Yu Lingfeng's eyes lit up. "Go on and describe the scene." It happened when I was very young. One day my friends and I were playing with building blocks in the backyard, and then I witnessed with my own eyes the scene where the dark messengers used them to kill humans. Wait a minute, Yu Lingfeng interrupted again, why did you call them dark messenger? Because they were all dressed in black. Yu Lingfeng smiled with satisfaction. It seems that he guessed well. The dark messenger you saw was a girl. How old was she? How old were you at the time? Yu Lingfeng then asked. I was about 10 years old at the time. The dark messenger was not a girl, but a boy. Male. Yu Lingfeng became more and more puzzled, but isn't the one you just mentioned a woman? The woman I saw when I was 16 years old, she was someone who also used the dark beast to kill. Qianyin said. How old is that man? I think he was 50 or 60 years old, Qianyin's recalled. It was so long ago that I can't remember clearly. Yu Lingfeng lowered his eyes and thought deeply. He was a man, dressed in black, and his style was very similar to that of a witch. So, what is the connection between the witch and the man? Could it be said that he taught the witch the art of witchcraft? End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 696. Chapter 696. Are you doubting the judgment of my Son of Light? You ask me so many questions, but don't tell me that you and the Dark Messenger are in the same group. When Qianyin said this, he kept staring at Xia Ying. Although I am the Son of Light who punishes evil and promotes good, if you humans are brainwashed by the messenger of darkness and remain stubborn, I will not be able to help you escape from the sea of suffering. When Qianyin said this, he felt like the Virgin Mary. Hey, as a foreigner, being fluent in Japanese is still a secondary problem, but you speak Chinese pretty well. Being able to master so many languages, it seems that your brain is not broken, so what is wrong with you? You insist that I am a messenger of darkness. Xia Ying spread her hands and said helplessly. Are you doubting the judgment of my Son of Light? Qianyin's puffed up his chest and said to Xia Ying. Xia Ying decided to give up communicating with Qianyin's. When Qianyin's turned around, he suddenly saw 11 Ju and Yeziaxun playing with his figures on the coffee table. As a result, Qianyin's hair exploded in a second, and his legs seemed to be equipped with small motors. He rushed over quickly, grabbed his precious figure, protected it on his chest, and said to the staff, drive these two devils out of here. My little cutie is suffering, how can their dirty fingers defile your holy body? Qianyin's lowered his head and stroked his precious figure and said, but Qianyin's looked more and more wrong. Why? Isn't this the figure that was broken by the staff? What happened? Did they fix it? Qianyin's looked at Yeziaxun and 11 Ju who were aggrieved at the side with a dumbfounded face. We just want to help you. 11 Ju blinked his big eyes and said. Right. Yeziaxun agreed. Qianyin's opened his mouth and hesitated for a long time, not knowing what to say. Has he misunderstood me? People kindly helped him repair the figures, but he had such a bad attitude and even kicked them out. It was really inappropriate. The only one to blame is the Dark Messenger. It was her who made him naturally prejudiced against these two humans. That's what, thank you. Qianyin's pursed his lips and said. Qianyin's lowered his head and observed his handicraft carefully. There were no signs of cracks, and it was completely impossible to tell that it had been broken before. How did you do it? Qianyin's face was filled with excitement. It was made by 11 Ju, I was just his assistant, Yeziaxun said. Hey, I bought figurines before, and sometimes my hands got broken, so I slowly mastered this repair ability. After hearing this, Qianyin's put down his handiwork and immediately clasped his fists in thanksgiving. Thank you, brave man, for saving me. If you need my help in the future, please feel free to ask. I will go through fire and water without hesitation. Xia Ying listened and opened her mouth in surprise. Is this guy really a foreigner? My Chinese skills are quite good. I admire you for being able to use such words. Really? Zihu became excited. Of course, my son of light never lies. Qianyins has a righteous and awe-inspiring appearance. Then, can we take a photo together? Zihu went to take out his mobile phone as he spoke. Yeziaksun silently added, can I also sign something? Sure. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 697. Chapter 697 Qianyin's Acting Skills. Xia Ying looked at the behavior of Yeziaksun and 11 Ju, raised her lips, and poked Yu Lingfeng beside her with her elbow. Is it their problem or am I? How come Yeziaksun and 11 Ju look so harmonious with Qianyin's? Yu Lingfeng pursed her lips and did not answer. At this time, the staff came over and called Xia Ying and the others to audition. After changing clothes, Yeziaksun held his face and looked at the beautiful Xia Ying in front of him. He blinked his watery eyes and admired sincerely, ah! Xia Ying is just like Yin Wu who stepped out of the book. At this time, Qianyins also changed his clothes and came out. Yeziaksun had not recovered from the surprise of seeing Xia Ying just now, and then he was greeted by another wave of visual impact. As a mother, I am really satisfied. Yeziaksun covered his little beating heart, his face turned red with excitement. However, Yeziaksun's excitement did not last long. The director asked Xia Ying and Qianyins to audition for a clip. Xia Ying's acting skills are of course not outstanding, she was a movie queen in her last life. But Qianyin's acting skills are really embarrassing. Xia Ying originally thought that since Qianyins, a newcomer, could be chosen as the male lead by the producer, there must be something special about him, and it must not just be because of his good looks. As a result, Xia Ying found out that she was wrong. Qianyins was really just good looking. After Qianyins finished his performance, the studio fell into silence. Everyone stared at him dumbfounded. They couldn't believe that an actor's acting skills could be so embarrassing. It's obviously a passionate costume drama, but under Qianyin's performance, it just looks like a middle-aged boy with so much joy. Is this the kind of person who joins the team with a salary? I didn't even see him bring a penny in. The producer originally patted his chest and told him that Qianyin's acting skills were very good, and then this level? The director suddenly realized that the video of Qianyin's performance shown to him by the producer was a Chuyunibu. At that time, the director was still thinking that this boy had a future, he had a handsome face, and he could play the role of Chuyunibu without any sense of disobedience. Damn it, he understands now, isn't this just his true character? This girl can't act at all. The director sat up and left. He resisted the urge to get angry and throw the machine, and turned around and left. He has been working in movies for so many years, and this is the first time he has encountered an actor whose acting skills are so bad that he has no idea how to direct him. Can't he be a little self-aware? What's wrong with this face? It's why he came to be an actor, which made him feel troubled. Qianyin stood there at a loss. What's going on? What happens? Why is everyone staring at him? Why did the director leave? Qianyin's turned to look at Xia Ying and asked, why is the director going? Xia Ying glanced at Qianyin sadly. Didn't this guy have any idea in his mind? Xia Ying approached Qianyin's, patted his shoulder, and shook her head helplessly. How did you sneak in from under Director Wang's nose and become the male lead? You must know that Director Wang's eyes have never missed anyone. This is obviously a stain on Director Wang's career. No wonder he left because he couldn't accept it. Of course it is. With my superb acting skills you must know that the specialty of dark messengers like you is to be able to disguise as a child of light. I naturally. Pa, you're dead, stop talking. Xia Ying couldn't listen anymore, so she made a pistol shape with her hand and said. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 698. Chapter 698, Hearing my singing makes me want to jump off the building. Director Wang was on the sidelines angrily on the phone, shouting at the top of his lungs, and everyone on the whole floor heard. It seemed that he was indeed very angry. I asked you to find me a suitable male protagonist, and this is how you lied to me? Do you think I'm a fool? What, good acting skills. Why don't you take it back and act by yourself? You're so good at acting. It hurts my eyes even now. Xia Ying. Everyone. Qian Yin's. Director Wang was really good at swearing. Qian Yin squatted in a corner and drew circles in a grieved manner. Ye Xiaoxun and 11 Ju went over to comfort him. It's okay if you can't be an actor, you can be a model, your figure is so good, isn't it? That's right, and you can also dub anime characters. Doesn't that meet your requirements? Dubbing for anime characters? Xia Ying frowned and thought for a while. Oh, that's right, there are many Chuyunibu in anime. Unexpectedly, Qian Yin's raised his aggrieved eyes, clenched his fist angrily and said, no, being an actor has been my dream since childhood. Ye Xiaoxun and 11 Ju looked at each other. Then do you have any other dreams? Save the world. Qian Yin spoke seriously, and Xia Ying choked on her mouthful of water. Yu Lingfeng patted Xia Ying on the back. Yu Lingfeng, have you ever seen that kind of person? Xia Ying pointed at Qian Yin's with disgust. Yu Lingfeng frowned and looked at Qian Yin's. He didn't want to admit that he had once made a robot named Beiju who was in the late stage of Shuyunibu. Yu Lingfeng had always thought that there was a problem with the program and it could not be repaired, so he gave up on the robot. But I never thought that this is also an attribute that appears in human beings. It seems that Beiju is not a failed robot. A moment of silence for him. Yu Lingfeng shook his head. What, can we have a smaller dream? 11 Ju was so embarrassed by Qian Yin's that his face was covered with sweat. Think about model voice actors or something like that. Ye Xiaoxun continued. Models are too tired, voice actors, do you still need to know how to sing? Qian Yin's asked. Well, you don't have to sing. Although most voice actors are versatile and can sing and dub. I don't sing well. They say they want to jump off the building when they hear me sing. Qian Yin said and curled his lips. If this character is killed, he may never get ahead in the future. He hadn't signed a contract with the company there yet, and once they found out from director Wang that he wasn't an acting material, he was completely hopeless. His dream of becoming an actor stopped here. Xia Ying suddenly became quite interested when she heard the song that would make people jump off the building. Hey, then you should try singing. Xia Ying suddenly said to Qian Yin's on the other end. Qian Yin's voice is quite good when he talks normally, so he should be good at singing. I don't want it. If you want to laugh at me, don't think I don't know. Qian Yin's tilted his head proudly, not looking at Xia Ying. Xia Ying chuckled, I won't laugh at you. Besides, the performance you just performed is enough to make me laugh for a year. There is no need to add more jokes. Qian Yin's glared at Xia Ying. The dark messenger has a venomous mouth. In the end, Qian Yin still couldn't bear the entreaties of Ye Xiaoxun and 11 Ju. Then let me say it first, you are not allowed to take off your powder after listening to the song. Qian Yin's finally cultivated two true fans, but he couldn't lose them like this. Qian Yin's cleared his throat and sang Blue and White Porcelain. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 699. Chapter 699. This is the rare voice of smoke. Jianyins had just finished singing 2 lines of his song when 11 Ju and Yeziaksun's strong desire to survive made them immediately stop his singing. Jianyins, be obedient, let's not sing anymore, okay? 11 Ju patted Jianyins on the shoulder and said seriously. It's good to be a quiet handsome man. Yeziaksun continued, his face filled with despair. Jianyins really interprets the definition of the term vase with strength. Although he is not good at acting, he still has a Drake voice when singing. After Jianyins heard this, he whined and continued to draw circles. Even true fans treat him like this. Does he really have nothing to offer except this face? At this moment, Xia Ying suddenly approached Jianyins, her glass-like eyes radiating with gleaming light. Jianyins, please sing a few more lines. Everyone glanced at Xia Ying. Is Xia Ying serious? Can I save my ears? 2 sentences are enough. If you listen to it any more, they will really jump off the building. However, looking at Xia Ying's serious look, it didn't look like she was joking. Are you serious? Jianyins looked at Xia Ying sadly. He was quite self-aware. He was always disliked for singing, so he came to act. However, I didn't expect that he couldn't do both. It was a waste of his beautiful face. As for being a model, it's not like Jianyins hasn't tried it before. He can't achieve that kind of success. Apart from his face, he has no competitive advantage over other supermodels. I'm afraid he's going to change his name to Jian Zhenyin Vase Z. Of course, don't you think Jianyin's voice is very distinctive? Xia Ying became a little excited, looked at everyone and said. Everyone cheered in agreement. Isn't that unique? Most people can't sing such a Drake voice. It is simply a kind of torture and can kill people. Blue and White Porcelain is such a literary and fresh song, and when it comes to Jianyin's mouth, it tastes like grit. Very unpleasant to listen to. Yeziaksun said silently. Jianyins was hit by an arrow in the chest. Especially, kill people. Zihu added. Jianyins was hit by an arrow in the chest again. Just take off the powder, don't step back, okay? Please, Jianyins wants to cry but has no tears. No, 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 believe me, he has a particularly rare smoke voice. Xia Ying continued, the smoke voice is a very high vocal skill. If you practice it well, your voice will have a perfect metallic texture. Very nice. Jianyins opened his eyes wide after listening to Xia Ying's words. Really or not, it turns out he has a cigarette voice? Zihu and Yeziaksun expressed doubts. He sings poorly because he has not received professional training. As long as he is properly trained, he has a very good voice. Xia Ying said, looking at Jianyins with a faint smile. You must know that in 2 years' time, Jianyin's smoky voice will be very popular. After all, such a voice is too rare and rare. It is difficult for ordinary people to develop such a powerful smoke voice through training. Dark Messenger, you didn't lie to me, did you? Jianyins raised his eyebrows and asked Xia Ying. I lied to you and got some candy. No. Then why should I lie to you? It seems so. Jianyins said to himself. Hey, how about you come to our company and I can train you? Xia Ying smiled at Jianyins and said. Yeziaksun was stunned for a moment. Xia Ying, when did you have a company? Now. End of this chapter. The Return of the National Goddess. Author, Yuan Suya. Chapter 700. Chapter 700, Go Home and Farm. Xia Ying smiled at Yeziaksun. She had originally planned to open a music company, but now that she discovered Jianyin's hidden voice, Xia Ying's idea became stronger and stronger, and she decided to take action immediately. Jianyins raised his eyebrows and stared at Xia Ying with suspicion. Dark Messenger, don't think that I don't know what your plan is. You don't want me, the Son of Light, to join your dark alliance. Xia Ying held her forehead, as if helpless. Can't this child be more normal? No, 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 do you know who she is? Yes, Yao Ying said. Dark person. Qianyin's is serious. She is Xia Ying, a disciple of Modexi and a well-known musical talent in the world. If she is willing to cultivate you, your future will be bright. When Yes Yao Ying said this, she had already begun to imagine what Qianyin's voice had been trained by Xia Ying in her mind. That's all an illusion. Qianyin's looked determined to refuse to obey. Oh, well, then you can fend for yourself. Xia Ying rolled her eyes. She could no longer communicate with him. Xia Ying turned around and left. When Qianyin saw Xia Ying leaving, she moved her lips and wanted to say something, but in the end nothing came out. Tisk, you missed a huge opportunity. Yeziaksun looked like he hated iron. Not long after, the director team officially informed Qianyins that he had been passed. And Director Wang said very ruthlessly, "You are not suitable for acting, just go home and farm." Qianyins clutched his injured chest, packed up the precious figures he had brought with him, and left reluctantly. Not long after, the official Weibo of the great doctor announced that Qianyins is not the male lead, and the male lead position is yet to be determined. Fans who saw it on Weibo and in the news said that their newly ignited passion was poured cold water on them, and their hearts were completely chilled. Qianyins is really handsome. Why didn't he play the leading role? What happens? Are we, Mr. Jun, coming back? Wait for me upstairs, I think so too, Jun Xiaojun, Jun Xiao. Just say that Feng Zhuoli's position belongs to us, Mr. Jun, and is unshakable. After Xia Ying left, she and Yu Lingfeng went to register the company. Yu Lingfeng originally thought Xia Ying was joking, but he didn't expect that she was serious. Isn't Qianyin's unwilling to sign the contract? Yu Lingfeng crossed his arms and glanced indifferently at the documents Xia Ying was filling out. Xia Ying didn't look up and said, "Hey, I just asked 11 Ju to investigate him. Qianyin's family is bankrupt and they owe a lot of debt, so Qianyin's wants to make money in the entertainment industry. That's why Qianyin's wants to make money in the entertainment industry. He has nothing to offer except a voice that needs to be discovered, so I'm sure he will come to me. You really want to sign him?" Yu Lingfeng was somewhat interested when he saw that Xia Ying looked determined to win. Yes, his voice is really unique. Although the range is not wide, the current music scene is lacking a voice like his. I'm sure that under my cultivation, he will definitely become popular. After all, he still has a voice. A killer face. Xia Ying clenched her pen and said firmly. One more thing. Yu Lingfeng interrupted Xia Ying as if she thought of something. Qianyin seems to be inextricably connected with the people on the witch's side. Since he mentioned that he has seen them kill people more than once, and he has not been killed for it, what do you think is the chance of him seeing them again? How big will it be? Yu Lingfeng's words made Xia Ying startled. There will be more updates in the evening. Please vote for me. End of this chapter.